And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game that I was very excited to check out, and this is Treasure Island. I love the artwork on the cover from Vincent Dutrait. It's based on one of my favorite books. You know, I love the whole idea of Jim Hawkins and Long John Silver just hunting for treasure, and that's also a deduction game. One person's going to be hiding treasure, everyone else is trying to find it. Let's see how it plays. So one player is going to be playing Long John Silver. The other players are each going to play one of the different pirates that's in the game. Each player is going to get, or one of the characters, I guess Jim Hawkins is in the pirate. You're going to get a shield that tells you what the different actions that you can take are. Each player is also going to have their own mini map that they're going to have, which they'll rotate to match the side of the board they're sitting on. And another little thing here where they can keep kind of notes. And then they're going to get a little board that matches their character, which shows special abilities that they can take over the course of the game that they will just check off. You're also going to get a color marker. You're going to start on the board in specific spots, and you will circle those with a marker, and the treasure can't be hidden there. On his map, Long John Silver is going to put an X with the black marker as to where the treasure might be. So maybe I decided I'm going to put the treasure right there in the water. Okay, it doesn't really matter where you put it. You're just trying to put it somewhere where the other people can't find it. Has to be inside the red line. Can't be on the border of a red line. It can't be in these mountain areas. Other than that, you can kind of put it wherever you want. The board is going to be broken up into sectors. You can see these white lines that are sectors. And at the beginning of the game, Long John Silver is going to give a token to each player, showing them what sector, one sector that the treasure is not in. So each player will know one sector the treasure is not in, but they don't have to share that information with each other because they're all looking for the treasure. This board here is going to be running the game, essentially. When it's someone's turn, you'll take the last pirate here in line and move it here to the next mark. So as the game goes by, you will be moving these like this. And each pirate is going to be taking turns as they do this. Now, when you do that, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to see, is there an event that's on there? Many times the event will involve Long John Silver giving out a clue. He'll have a handful of three clues, and he'll play one of these clue cards, and then he'll do something to give everybody a clue based on what that card says. Some clue cards have treasure chests. They're better for Long John Silver. They don't give out as much information, but he can only play those if he's given a treasure token to one of the other players. At a certain point in the game, you will be switching your clues out for a different set of clues, the black spot clues, and then you'll be using those. And so you can see on turn 1, 3, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 13, he'll be putting clues on the board. When you put a clue on the board, you'll put it here face up and do whatever the clue says, and you'll also put a token underneath it. Now this one here must be correct. This must be a correct clue, but starting on turn 2, you're going to get this token along with a whole pile of truth tokens, and whenever you put out a clue, you'll be able to put a token underneath it. So if players examine that token later on and they see the question mark, that means it might be false. It doesn't have to be false, but it might be false, while if they see this, then they know that it is absolutely true. At this point here on Monday, when there's a special event here where Long John Silver is sent to prison, so the players will pick a tower on the island and put him in it. And on turn 17, he's going to escape from that, and he'll be moving throughout the island, trying to get to the treasure. If he gets to the treasure before the players do, then Long John Silver wins. If the players find the treasure first, then they win. So after you handle the event that's on here, you also look at the stars, and that's how many actions the players have. Now, players are going to be taking actions here on the board, and you have some basic actions that all players can take, and you have some special actions that you might have according to your character. So let's take a look at the orange player here, and let's take a look at some of the things they can do. First of all, they can move 6 miles. So the game comes with a ruler, and so for one action, you can just basically say, moving 6. Oh, that's an illegal one here because you cannot go through the red area here. So let's say He moves here. You then put an X where the new spot is, and then you'll put the pirate on top of that X. Another thing you can do is you can simply move 3 miles, and then you can do a small search. A small search simply puts this around here. You'll do a circle like that inside the circle, and then basically, is the treasure there? If the treasure's there, you win. And the game is really clear that if you're not sure, like if the pirate's looking and goes, well, that might touch the X or not. If it might touch the X, it does touch the X. The final thing you can do is, instead of moving at all as an action, you can do a large search. And then here you take this bigger circle and you do a larger search, searching for the things. Now, other than that, you have other special actions that the players can take based on what you have on your board. For an action, you can look at one of the clue markers. For an action here, you can move twice. Each player has like a very specific action that they can do. Like one of the players uses the outside of the circle rather than the inside circle when they're searching. Here you can use a compass, and you can put this around the X where your character is, and then the Long John Silver player is going to play one of the tiles that they have, one of the compass tiles, and they're going to show you 2 directions that the treasure is not in from where you're at. So you'll be able to see, okay, and then you'll draw 2 big long lines there, and the treasure is not in those lines. There's us. You're actually using this one for the board. This really big one, you can actually put it around your character like this, and then this smaller one is for your own personal player board. And that's pretty much how the game's going to work. Now, Long John Silver is going to be giving out all sorts of clues here. So, for example, designate a miniature within 8 miles of the treasure. So I'd say, all right, the red one's within 8 miles. Now, sometimes I'm not sure. At that point, Long John Silver can say, everyone close your eyes. And he knows the treasure's in a certain spot. And he might measure around to see someone who's within 8 miles. Here, reveal 2 extra district hints of your choice to all the pirates. So I might say, all right, here's 2 more districts that the treasure is not in. Or I might say, locate the miniature closest to the treasure, name it and any other miniature, but I don't tell you which one is which. Here, position a big compass on a miniature of your choice. Pick 3 directions the treasure is in one of them. Sometimes you're going to need to use the compass. I might say that the treasure is within 6 to 8 miles of a certain character. So then I would, let's say I say the treasure is within 6 to 8 miles of the red character. So I go here, say 6. So, and then I will go up to 8. And now everyone knows that the treasure is between those 2 black lines. As long as, of course, I'm not lying about that particular clue. And so there's going to be a lot of drawing on the board. You'll color things out. You'll slowly cross things out. Whenever someone searches for treasure, Long John Silver will give them this treasure chest, which, if there's nothing inside it, means you failed. If it shows you the treasure itself, hurrah, you've won. Long John Silver can also throw one of these little tokens in, which means you're incorrect, but in the future that pirate can use this. This gives him a free small search action. Well, why would Long John Silver ever hand these out? Because players need to have these tokens for Long John Silver to be able to play certain of the clue cards. You know, if I look at these clue cards here, for example, designate the miniature who passed closest to the treasure. Well, that's going to give out a lot of information. So I might rather do the parrot, which in a 4 to 5 player game, each pirate reveals their district hint to their 2 neighbor pirates. That's not as much information to hand out to the pirates. So, but you can only hand these out if you've given one of these tokens out to another player. That's it. The first player to find a treasure wins unless no one finds it by turn 17, at which case Long John Silver is just going to start moving 6 inches. As soon as he hits the treasure, then he wins. And that's how you play. The components for the game are a good mix. One of the things I really like is inside the box here. And I mean, this is something that you don't need to do, but it's neat that they have this little treasure chest thing here to put some of the components in. I mean, that's not necessary, but I thought that was a pretty cool feature. The board itself, you're going to be writing on the board, as you've seen me do, and there's another side of the board. If you really want to be able to see the markers, then this is the side that you would use, because it's a lot easier to see the markers. This side's more colorful, and so it depends on how thematic you want, although you'll notice that the green marker is a little harder to see on this side of the board. So while I think that side of the board's cooler and more thematic, we often end up using this side because it's just a lot easier to see the markers on the board. And as with any game with these markers, I'm assuming they're going to run out at some point. Still, the neatness of these components, where you have the compass that moves the marker, you have this measuring stick, you have this, you have these circles, they're pretty cool. Everything's going to be a little inexact, as it is when you're measuring stuff, but at least they have the rule where you're going to, if you're close enough to the treasure, you'll find it. You have your own little map here that you look at behind your shield. And again, you can also use it on this side with the quadrants just to help you out a little bit more. And these cards are pretty cool. The rule book itself explains how they are. The rule book could have been probably written a little bit better, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy with the components for this game. Everything's a little thinner than I would like. I mean, these are very thin boards that you're writing on, and I'm wondering how everything will hold up long term, but the pirate theming of it, very strong. So this is an interesting mix of a game because it's a deduction game, but it also has a strong theme. And in my experience, most deduction games do not. Earlier this year, a few weeks ago, I played Cryptid, which is a great game, but the theme is almost non-existent. So how much you like Treasure Island is really going to depend on how much you want theme immersed in your deduction game. Because this is a deduction game, no doubt about that, where you're trying to find something using circles and drawing and making marks on a map and everything. And if you like that theming, the searching for a pirate treasure, this game really works well there. Using the compass to draw curves and the straight edge to draw that and cutting out triangles, and pretty soon you narrow it down to where the treasure is. As an aside, it's pretty hard to play Long John Silver and win, because as the game goes by, they're going to be quickly shrinking the board down and figuring out where it is. So the theming is really there. The pirate artwork, the drawing on the board with lines and everything, that's extremely strong. And because of that, I like the game. The deduction aspect of the game also works, but it's a little loosey-goosey. So you need to go in realizing that. If you're someone who doesn't like, hey, I'm measuring where a miniature is moving from one spot to another 6 inches, that's going to be a little problematic here, because there's that whole, all right, draw the line and put the X. And I'm really glad they have that rule that if you're not sure if they found the treasure, they found it. That is a good rule and saves you a lot of trouble. Like, wait a minute, this circle I did earlier was touching the X. No, it was or it wasn't. Very clearly on that. So the loosey-goosiness also comes at the beginning of the game, where you're kind of like, I guess I'll do a large search. I don't know if the treasure's here or not. I'm just guessing. And it's possible in this game, as I suppose it is any of these games like Scotland Yard or whatever, that you're like, I found the treasure. Like one character's a telescope, so he can do a large search one spot on the board. So he might just say, here, and find the treasure. So that's possible. And the clues themselves, sometimes you're sitting there going, okay. And you also, the person playing Long John Silver has to never mess up. I said that this person was the closest person, but they may not have been the closest person at that point in time. And also the fact that there's those two clues, which may or may not be true, that also brings everything into doubt as the game comes by. So like I said, a little loosey-goosey with the drawing and everything, but I like it. Now, there was split opinions, and people I play with, if they like just straight deduction, figure this out, check this off, not as much fun for them. It's there, they can see it, but the theme almost got in the way for them. But if you're like me and you like that whole pirate theme and deduction, then this is a nice marriage of the two together. I would not say this is one of the best deduction games I played, but it's definitely one of the best pirate games I played. And that's a good combo for me. So the only thing, and I should have mentioned this in components, this treasure chest thing is a real pain in the neck to keep opening it, because it doesn't open very easily. Put the coin in, pass it to someone. I'd rather just put the coin in my fist and hand it to them, or not hand it to them. Again, it's not that much of a secret in this whole, did you win? Just tell them they've won. I get the theming of this, but it just seemed like it was a little bit extra. But All that is superseded by the fact that there's a marker compass that I'm drawing on the board. And actually, it's interesting because there's 2 compasses in this game. There's actually a directional compass and then the drawing compass. And I'd say, hand me the compass. And someone's like, well, which one? But anyway, I like that. I love the drawing. I love looking at the board as the lines are crossed and as you're slowly putting it down. And that's really cool. So if that appeals to you, if you watch a pirate movie as they're sitting there drawing on the map and you're like, oh, I would love that. Well, this game does that for you. So that's Treasure Island. Check it out. Dice Tower Judgment approved.